The breaking story today is that Brett Kavanaugh is now Justice Kavanaugh. He has been confirmed to the Supreme Court at a 50-48 vote. So now, like I said earlier, all the hysteria, the mob tactics, the screeching, the screaming, the blocking traffic, the threatening people from a blue checkmark account because you're a writer for some show on Netflix or whatever your credentials are, all of this hysteria didn't work when it came to stopping Brett Kavanaugh. He's now Justice Kavanaugh, and I just want to say congratulations first off to Justice Kavanaugh and his family. It's a really hard week for them as far as all the allegations and the really nasty negative media attention. But I do want to say, before I get into the next story, first of all, he did get in 50-48 vote. It's official. Second of all, my pitch to my liberal brothers and sisters and my leftist brothers and sisters who don't like Justice Kavanaugh or Trump, that's totally fine. You don't have to. But I don't think people understand how much this is backfiring. The ridiculous tactics that they had to try to stop Brett Kavanaugh, because they didn't try to stop him by voting or winning elections or making a rational argument, presenting the anomaly, right-wing people. This is why I don't like Brett Kavanaugh. They don't do that. They think a good strategy for them to get their point across is like blocking traffic and screaming and getting more hysterical and threatening people. You have peace-loving liberals who are threatening Senator Collins, saying, hopefully she never has a peaceful life again. You had a Democratic staffer going to jail now because he doxed several Republicans and put all their personal information. It's like they think that threatening people and screaming and acting vile and nasty and negative is going to win them support and make their argument more valid. It didn't work with Brett Kavanaugh. Like I've said multiple times, but since this is a new video, you look at all the evidence, you look at what Dr. Ford said, you look at what Kavanaugh said, you look at what the friend said, her ex-boyfriend said. You had people in the story saying that people were coming to her, telling her to change her story to try to fit Dr. Ford's story. So you have a lot of ridiculous manipulation tactics. You have a lot of media and whatnot, but it really, really is backfiring tremendously. Like I said, Brett Kavanaugh is Justice Kavanaugh, so it's literally in the flesh. All of whatever that last 2 weeks was, whatever you think about Kavanaugh or Ford or whatever that was, it didn't work. I'm just letting you know. He's now nominated to the Supreme Court. So that's just a fact. It literally didn't work. But what I also don't think people understand is how many moderate people and normal people it's running to the other side. Because any rational, sensible person, whether you're a woman, a man, there's thousands on my page. You could scroll down. There's thousands of sexual assault and rape victims. God bless you guys that have gone through that and support my channel. Thank you so much. But there's thousands of people who've had terrible things happen to them who don't agree with the mainstream narrative. Thousands of sexual assault victims on my page telling their stories saying, this is what I went through, this really happened to me, and I believe Brett Kavanaugh or I don't believe Ford. And that's okay. People can agree with Ford, they can agree with Kavanaugh. Like I said, there's thousands of sexual assault victims on my page who don't agree with the mainstream narrative. But what's not okay is this weird mentality of like liberal media and these blue check mark like writers for Netflix shows or whatever. They think they have a monopoly on victims. They think they have a monopoly on women and children. They think they have a monopoly on sexual assault. And anybody who strays from that normal, they try to seek and destroy you. It's like, oh, you don't agree with me? Either you don't exist or I'm going to destroy your life. It's a really, really ugly tactic. And I've gotten text messages all week from non-political people being like, this is really making me think twice about voting Democrat. There's a writer for Vox, V-O-X, Vox. His name is like Matt Yglesias or something. He posted a tweet saying he had an Uber driver who was black who said that all of this Kavanaugh stuff really is warming him up to Trump. And this guy writes for Vox, so of course he doesn't understand that. But he's like, ooh, I have like dozens of columns of motivation for this. It's like he's mocking the black Uber driver for liking Trump off the Brett Kavanaugh situation. But a lot of people do, because if you're a guy or a girl Of course you believe in due process if you're somewhat normal, and you don't believe all women and believe all accusers. Like, one person accuses someone of something and you automatically believe it and screech and scream and destroy and block traffic if people don't agree with you. No one in their right mind thinks that way. I'm sorry. You could get mad at me. You could make up all fake stories about me. I don't really care. But normal people don't feel that way. So there's millions of people who didn't even like Trump before or Brett Kavanaugh before who now are supporting Trump and Brett Kavanaugh. This was a major red-pilling event, another fail from the liberal media. Just like every story, it's like every month they have this new weird, creepy narrative that doesn't make sense using women, children, and sexual assault victims. And then when it doesn't work out, they just, act absolutely horrendous. I don't know what to tell you, but I'm hearing stories all over the place from all sorts of people who are saying that this Brett Kavanaugh situation actually made them support Trump and want to vote Republican for the first time in their lives, just based off how the media, because no person wants to have their life destroyed off of one allegation, especially when there's no evidence there, because one person, like I'm going to say with Brett Kavanaugh or anyone, just to wrap it up, like I said, if you just joined, he got confirmed 50-48 vote. He's in Justice Kavanaugh, excuse me. But if you're an ambitious person or a normal person, you have thousands of people you've dealt with in your lifetime. I think it's scary to a lot of people to think that all it takes is 1 or 2 or 5 people from your past who don't like you for either political or personal reasons. Maybe they're spiteful, maybe they're hateful, maybe you had a bad falling out, but all it takes is one allegation to, ruin your life on a mass scale. I don't think the average American citizen really agrees with that narrative. I don't think the average American citizen is attracted to this far leftist radical ideology of like having hissy fits on a mass scale and doing little arts and craft projects where they basically just write mainstream media propaganda on a billboard and then run around the streets. I don't really think it's appealing to many Americans. So once again, just to wrap this part of the session up, Brett Kavanaugh has been confirmed 50-48. All of these tactics did not work. First of all, they didn't work to stop him from being confirmed. Second off, it actually backfired, and I really think now Republicans have a way bigger chance of having a red wave, because just to wrap it up, you can convince somebody the best by being kind, compassionate, and having a rational argument, not by screeching, screaming, yelling at them, and acting like Kathy Griffin, F you, 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 if you disagree with me. There's nothing liberal about this. And I posted earlier, too. If this is on YouTube, you probably didn't see it, but if you're on my Facebook, you might have seen it. It was a tweet from Mike Cernovich. He said the difference between Republicans and liberals is if Brett Kavanaugh doesn't get confirmed, Republicans are going to get mad, they're going to tweet about it, and they're going to write their senators. And if liberals don't get their way, they screech and scream and block traffic and start rioting and threatening people. All over Twitter, people are being threatened. I mean, this is not a fringe group. These are like blue checkmark celebrities who are threatening politicians who have been shot, broken their ribs, Rand Paul, Steve Scalise, now threatening a woman for not voting their way. I mean, a lot of people, the average person is not buying into this stuff. And I know that they don't want to hear this, but just like the Vox writer who said, "Oh, I can't believe I had a black Uber driver who supports Trump off the Kavanaugh stuff. Oh, I'm going to write 20 articles about it." It's like, dude, how about you take a step back from your computer for a week instead of like hate writing articles with this skewed perspective and just understand and listen to why people really support Trump and Kavanaugh. And on this note, too, just to really wrap it up, the things that we should have been talking about with Brett Kavanaugh is the fact that he was, very close to George W. Bush. George W. Bush, according to many reports, was lobbying to get Brett Kavanaugh into Supreme Court. We should have been talking about his past, his record, all the evidence, of course, around the Dr. Ford case, but just evidence in his life and his work. But once again, the Democrats and the liberals, what they've done is made millions of people support Kavanaugh that maybe wouldn't have supported him because of his Fourth Amendment, his privacy, like concerns about how he's voted in the past on privacy. And like I said, his very tight relationship with George W. Bush, which a lot of Trump supporters wouldn't like. But once again, with liberals and Democrats, not only do they not cover the things that they should cover that are concerns about Brett Kavanaugh, but they cover that up with their ridiculous behavior. It's like everything's racist, so now nothing's racist, and real racists get off scot-free. They ruin everything for sexual assault victims, racists and sexists. Like I said, there's some bad conservatives who annoy me. There's some bad liberals who annoy me, but there's no debate. The liberal ideology is absolutely bananas, and I've never seen anything like this. So congratulations to Brett Kavanaugh. 50-48 vote. Congratulations to liberals for once again doing absolutely nothing, accomplishing nothing, blocking traffic, and making millions of more people vote Republican. I don't know if you're secretly working for the Republican Party, trying to get them votes or something, but my goodness, this strategy didn't work. Brett Kavanaugh on the Supreme Court after all of this ridiculous, probably the craziest 2 weeks of the last year.